I find it shocking, yea, even appalling, that there were 62 million people who were willing to hold their nose and vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I find it absolutely amazing and really saddening that so many of those people can't observe the obviousness of her corruption and criminality. The fact that there are people who actually believe she's a genuine, good-hearted philanthropist just about knocks me over. And as I think about that, it's not so much about that specific instance as it is the whole direction, the general inertia of our national community, of our society. Because we live in a society. But again, it's not so much about that one particular instant in time, or even that span of time, which represents the presidential campaign and the election and all that. It's more about, again, the direction and the speed at which things are moving in that direction. And so, pretty much every day, I'm left to consider and think about the fact that it almost doesn't matter what happens in 2020. It almost doesn't matter what happens in 2019 vis-a-vis corrupt politicians facing justice. Nothing's going to change. No one, I don't think anyone is going to break away who is already hyper partisan. So those people who don't care about the criminality of Democrats don't care about the criminality of Democrats because of the football team mentality. And the same is true for the Republicans who would support someone like Mitt Romney. There was a point back in early 2017 when most of the evidence against the Democrats became publicly available. There's been some testimony and a few things declassified since then. But in reality, all of the evidence of Donald Trump's innocence and the criminality and the guilt of the Democrats has been available since early 2017, at least vis-a-vis the Spygate stuff. But of course, you have to ask yourself, why go through so much trouble to target this man who they used to like? You gotta remember, he used to be one of the in crowd. He used to be a Hollywood Democrat. And these people would all croon, smile, and shake his hand and take pictures. And so what changed? What happened? Right? Why? Is it just because he said some nasty things? Well, then why didn't they go after someone like Harvey Weinstein, who was doing nasty things? Right? If it's just about the nastiness, you could say that Trump's speech is an action, that he's doing nasty things. So if he and Harvey Weinstein are doing nasty things, then why not go after them at that time? Because they didn't care, because it wasn't a problem, because it seemed like they were allies. Of course, Harvey Weinstein was an ally. Donald Trump was a double agent, or changed his mind, or whatever. And then you have to consider the media too, because the media takes up the same line, and it's getting to the point of ridiculousness how often they get called out for their lies. And the only thing they can do is go, "Oh, you're talking about a Fox News conspiracy theory." In reality, Fox News doesn't originate any of this evidence. Most of it comes from left-leaning sources like Politico or BuzzFeed News or the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune, which people often have said is right-leaning, but whatever. It doesn't originate with Fox News, although a lot of the very good investigative reporting comes from people who appear on Fox News. They are not themselves fully employed by Fox. They're independent journalists who are contracted. People like Sarah Carter, John Solomon, Dan Bongino. And so you have to assume that because it's more important to slander Donald Trump than it is to get the facts right, there has to be some ulterior motive. It's not just money, as Tim Pool would say. Because you can generate money doing anything. He loves to say, well, I could play Minecraft and make a lot more money. Well, CNN could write articles that are factual and still use clickbait titles and other tactics to generate the same amount of revenue. Same goes for any of the news outlets. So it's not about money. It's about protecting this information from being exposed. And that's really what's at the heart of all of this, is that Spygate was about protecting something else. It was never about Donald Trump, and it started long before Donald Trump. Americans who don't see the corruption of the Democrats are willfully ignorant or hopelessly stupid. Okay, so the final question. What is Spygate protecting? Well, it's protecting a mafioso style organization that's involved in lots of dirty dealings. I think it was a month ago or maybe 6 weeks ago, there was a picture and a news article talking about Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff meeting with a former official in Mexico who is now being prosecuted for corruption, cooperating with the cartels, and bribing foreign politicians. And of course, the speculation based on the photograph and the timing of the meeting between Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and this Mexican, who I can't remember what his name is, but I believe he worked under Vicente Fox, although I could be wrong, it might have been the guy before, I don't recall. But of course the speculation is that this guy is paying bribes to US politicians, and that makes a lot of sense when you consider that a 12-year-old girl in the hands of a pimp is worth about $150,000 to $200,000 per year. And so if Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff take a little cut of that, Well, you got to scale it up then if it's going to be worth something, right? Got to have 1,000 girls, maybe 10,000. So that means you got to keep that southern border open and keep those cartels in power along the Mexican side of that border. Very interesting how that works. And what about Ukraine? How many Democrats have energy interests in Ukraine? How many have financial interests in the in the Chinese economy? Spygate is about covering up the most expensive criminal operation on the globe, and it's a network of liberals, Democrats, leftists, Marxists, godless people who fucking hate you. And so I'm left trying to understand how any American could think that these Democrat politicians are acting in the benefit of the people in any way. It seems obvious on the face of it to me that everything they do is for personal gain. I can't say the same thing about President Trump.